Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back here to our Shabbat gathering here in the Light to the Nations YouTube channel. It's a blessing, like always, to be with you once again to share a new portion of the book of Yeshayahu, of the Word of YaHuWaH, that is so good and is such a blessing for us to study in these times. As you can see, Lillian is back, and she's going to be with us today on this portion that is a beautiful one, I think.
Yeah.
So we really hope that you have been enjoying your Shabbat. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we pray that YaHuWaH will guide us in everything we'll say today and everything that we are going to learn. He's the one that is opening our understanding just to see more and more truth from His Word. So we welcome all of you. Let me take a look in the chat. We see Keeps Digging 7 with us, Susan. Also, Camille is with us, Arthur and Cornelia. So good to see you here. Joe is also with us. Rain and Anemiek, welcome. Karen is also with us. Welcome, Karen. Steven is also here. And we see more people connected, but not in the chat. But it's so good to have all of you with us today. So you were not here last week, so I don't know if you want to share something or you want to say hello, or I don't know.
No, hello. I think that in the portion we're going to touch something that I found it so beautiful, because even though we are maybe facing some difficult times, every time that we need YaHuWaH, He's going to be there for us. And I know that every one of you have the same witness of the same testimony about His help, that sometimes we can see that everything is so black and I don't know, it's kind of difficult, but He's there and He's faithful and He's always going to be there for us. And like that, I also found very beautiful, because it happened with me with a sister. I was thinking about her, and then I didn't want to say anything, and then I received a note from her, and it was so beautiful, because sometimes when we think about somebody, that person is going to reach us. So it's in both ways. So imagine how it's always with Abba. He's asking us, remember me. So it's because if we have that connection, if we think about Him, He's going to be thinking about us too. He's going to be there for us too. So
those are, I don't know, so important two words that you mentioned, and we have been talking about this for a long period of time. It's about remembering YaHuWaH, remembering me, and I think you put it beautifully, because in the same way that we used to remember people, and this is funny. You were talking about this during breakfast. Is that sometimes when we remember somebody, as you said. That person is contacting us. It's a two-way communication. So the same is working with Abba. The same is happening with Him, and that's why He's always inviting us to remember Him. If we remember Him, He is going to remember us too. So we are going to initiate this two-way communication. I don't know if it was last week or the previous one that I was saying that every time that we pray to YaHuWaH, we need to keep silence. It's like talking to another person, the most important person. And when we're talking to a friend, to a colleague at work, or with a family member, with a relative, it's a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So we need to speak, but we need to listen. It's in the two ways. And every time that we speak to Abba, He's going to speak to us. So we need to keep silence. It's like talking to you in this moment. So, and then we are going to create this environment of this dialogue with Him. It will remember Him. So it's a beautiful way to put it. So today we are going to continue with the portion. I think we call it the number is the 87. We are keeping just the consecutive number, and it's the 87, yes. And it's going from the chapter 38 to chapter 40. And we have titled this portion, Panu Derech YaHuWaH, that it means...
Prepare the way of Yahuwah.
And I think it's so relevant because this is exactly what we have to do in this time and age, is to prepare the way of Yahuwah in the same way that John the Baptist
I was thinking about that.
was preparing the way for the first coming of Yahushua. Now we are the ones that we need to prepare the way for the second coming of Yahushua, to prepare the way of Yahuwah. So before the continuing, we will put this song that we have prepared for today. You were going to say something? No? And I see more people join us in the chat. I see Mom here. We will see each other soon.
Yeah.
The Chiller man, it's like Chile, our country.
Something like that. Yeah.
Heidi is also with us here. Michael also here. And Yaya is also here with us. And good. We have a full house. And Marcy is also here. She just woke up,
Maybe she was staying late.
Maybe she was studying with Karen. We almost joined your study, Karen, yesterday, but we have some visitors here at the home.
Harmony is there.
Yes, Harmony is also here. Good, so let's move on. So let's listen to this song. I think it's a beautiful one, and then we will go straight forward to today's portion. Okay, so here we go.
ישוע בכל ליבי רוצה להידמות יותר רק לדמותו בכל מילה מבט וכוונת הלב בכל מחשבה אליו להידמות אל דמות ישוע בכל ליבי רוצה להידמות יותר רק לדמותו כל כישרונות ידי אניח לפני פודי בכל פועלי אליו להידמות להידמות רק לישוע להידמות לבן עליון לתת לרוחו לפעול ברצונו כל יום להידמות רוצה רק דמות ישוע בכל ליבי רוצה להידמות יותר רק לדמותו קדוש להיות ענב אוהב בו שהוא אהב בכל מאודי אליו להידמות להידמות רק לישוע להידמות לבן עליון לתת לרוחו לפעול ברצונו כל יום להידמות רוצה רק דמות ישוע בכל ליבי רוצה להידמות יותר רק לדמותו הן הוא קנה אותי הן הוא אדון ליבי לי הוא קרא אליו להידמות רק לישוע להידמות לבן עליון לתת לרוחו לפעול ברצונו כל יום להידמות
So let's pray. Yahuwah Elohim Sebaot, we want to lift up our voices in this day, in this Shabbat. First of all, to give thanks to you for everything you do for us in our lives. Because the life itself is coming from you, it's yours. And you are giving us to all of us with the purpose of serving you, to follow your way, to seek your face, and to love you with all our hearts. Thank you, Abba, because you have purpose in your heart to take us and guide us to your way. You have been the one doing everything for us, for Yahuwah. You have been the one, O Yahuwah Sebaot, who has made us turn back to you, to return to you from all our ways, from the world, from going astray, and to look into your set apart way, to look to your kingdom. And you have set in our heart the purpose to return to you. And here we are, Abba, after so many years. Here we are, staying firm in your way, knowing with all our heart that it's only in you where we find the truth. That it's only in you where we have expectation and hope for our lives. And not only for our lives, also for your entire creation. Thank you, Abba, because you have done everything for us. You have set the door, that door that is your Son Yahushua, the one leading us in your way. Thank you, Abba, because you have set the perfect example for each one of us in order to understand how we should live, how we should serve you, how we should walk. And that perfect sample is our Melech, our King, your Son Yahushua HaMashiach. He is your perfect image and likeness. And as the song was saying, it's our prayer that is in our heart, Yahuwah, that we can be like him. Because if we are like Yahushua, we are going to be like you. And we want to be like you. We want to remember you in every moment of our lives. We want to be your true witnesses in this world, so that the people can see who you really are, that the people can understand who you really are, and that the people can believe in you, having the same expectation and the same hope as we have, as we do. Abba, we love you with all our hearts. And the only thing we can do in return for everything you do for us is to love you and to obey your covenant and to follow the steps of our King, Yahushua. And in this moment, in this Shabbat, when we are setting this time apart to study your word, we ask you, Abba, that you can guide us in everything we are going to say and do. We ask, Abba, that your presence be among us, that we are here live, studying your word, no matter the distance, no matter where we are, that we can be achad in you through your Ruach HaKodesh, that you can fill our temples with your set-apart presence and with your Ruach HaKodesh, and that you can open our understanding, our ears and our eyes to your word, that you can speak through us and to our hearts. In these times that we are living is when we need you the most, Abba. And we pray in this moment that you can fill us with your presence, with your wisdom and your understanding, that you can teach us your ways, and you can move us into the service of your kingdom, in serving you according to your will, and not according to our own will or understanding. We can surrender our hearts to you, denying ourselves, knowing that every time that we give you the control of our lives to you, everything will be for good, for your purposes, for your service. Here we are, we are your vessels, we are your instruments. Use us to each one of us here at this moment. And also I pray for everyone that is going to be reaching out to this study later on, that you can touch our hearts with your mighty and set apart presence. Guide us in every trial or tribulation we are going through. We are in a period of refinement, Abba, each one of us. And we thank you, Abba, for any tribulation and trials and refinement period that we are going through, because that's a way for you to cleanse us, to clean our lives, so we can be right with you. We can be considered righteous before your eyes. And if you are refining us, if because you love us, and because you are giving us an opportunity to be that type of people that you have always seen within us, your children, your set apart seed. And here we are, make us at your image and likeness, like your Son Yahushua. Thank you, Yahuwah, for your presence, for your love and your compassion toward your people, Israel, to this generation. We wait on you, Yahuwah, and we believe in you with all our hearts. And we love you with all our strength and our being. Thank you, Abba. And we pray to you, we lift up our voices as an ascending offering. And we do it in humility. And we do it in sincerity of our hearts. And we do it in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, our King. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. I just saw the part in 60 seconds here, and I remembered that. It's a beautiful time. So let's move on. So let me put the scripture in the screen. And as I said, we are going to read the chapter 38, 39, and chapter 40.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. So you are going to read the first two, and I'm going to read the last one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's begin.
Okay. In those days, Hizkiyahu was sick and near death, and Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz, came to him and said to him, "Thus said Yahuwah, command your house, for you are going to die and not live." Wow. Imagine that Yahuwah is saying you through a prophet that you're going to die and you're not going to live.
But let me mention something here. It's a very strong statement from Yahuwah. It's like an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Saying, this is it.
Yeah.
But you know what caught my attention is in the way that he's saying, command your house. And you know, I have been writing a lot about the house. And my apologize that
Apology?
apology.
Well, I'm going to
No, apologize.
see.
That it's taking me too long, but I'm in the middle. I'm been preparing this study about the house. You know, Lillian knows, and she's my witness, that I have been making a lot of progress. But I'm in the middle of writing another document that is also very important, and in the middle of something that Abba is doing with me. And that's why, you know, it's very difficult to be writing two important things that at the end,
to move with
and
the
at
two
the end
of them.
somehow both of them are connected. So this study that I'm preparing to share with you, one of them at least, is about the house. And without going into the details, for me, it's so important in the way that Yahuwah's statement is beginning, commanding him to command his house. And for me, this is having two meanings.
Yeah.
One is that is his own house, and the second one is the house that somehow is extended, the house that he's in charge of, is to put his house in order, basically. Put your house in order, not your own house, but your extended house, because you are going to die. And this is, I think, is so relevant, and is one of the topics we discussed in the past, and we put it as in a list somewhere of some things, of discussions, is that that we need to be accountable and also responsible to prepare for the moment of death.
Yeah. We cannot wait until the last minute.
Correct.
It's like now we have to do the work, like we are going to face that moment.
You know, I have seen so many situations and stories, and most probably most of you also have heard about and experienced these kind of things. That sometimes we don't take responsibility, or people doesn't take responsibility for their own death and the process of what it means to die. And they delegate the responsibility to their children. And that's a complete chaos, because there is a lot of fights between children, with exceptions for sure. But the norm is that there are a lot of fights. So we need to take responsibility to prepare everything for the moment of our death. For sure, depends on the will of Yahuwah. We don't know. We can experience different situations or dying in different ways. Maybe something is going to happen that is going to be suddenly, and we're not going to be able to prepare anything. But even in those cases, we should be responsible from way before that death is part of life. It's part of
know that it's coming.
It's part of the cycle. It's coming. So we should be prepared ourselves for that time. And this is exactly, I think, in this just small phrase is what Yahuwah is saying. Again, taking responsibility for death. But I think this is a more profound thing. It's about to have everything in order before dying.
It's like when you're going to maybe to have a trip or something, and you know that you have to prepare your luggage. So you're not going to wait until the last minute to do all that kind of task. So you have to do it before. So maybe you're not going, something is going to happen, and maybe the flight is going to be canceled, I don't know, but you have to be ready for that. And I think that Abba is asking us and giving every day to us the opportunity to be ready for when the time is coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So important topic, and this is something that I've been writing about, and hopefully, if His will, it will come soon, more than later. Is that we need to keep our house in order, and each one of you, each one of us, we know deep inside us if we have our house in order or not, and each one of us know deep inside of us if our house is not in order. We know what needs to be taken care of in order to have our houses in order. Each one of us know. And if we are somehow doubting and questioning because we are not so sure, He is going to reveal to each one of us what we need to do in order to keep our house in order. And He's so compassionate. Sometimes we don't understand the message, but I think He's so compassionate that He's giving witnesses after witnesses after witnesses in order to give us the assurance of what we need to do. So think about it, pray about it. If you are feeling that your house is not in order, it's not connected to death. But again, as I said, we need to be responsible because we don't know what's going to be that time for each one of us. But even if it's not connected to death, we know in the times that we are living. And we pray to Yahuwah to be found worthy to be before the Lamb, and maybe not experiencing death. But even though that maybe we're not going to experience death, and we are expecting and hoping that we are going to participate in the transformations of our bodies, you need to understand that the transformation of our bodies is a kind of physical death too, because this body is going to die and it's going to be transformed in a new body, because this body, as Shaul was writing about, needs to die and a new one needs to come up.
It's going to be the replacement. Yeah.
An uncorruptible body. So that's going to be a death and a resurrection somehow, both things happening at the very beginning. And if we truly know, and if we truly believe, and if we truly feel that we are living in the end times, we need to put our house in order, because death or transformations of our bodies is coming, and I think it's coming soon, and Yahuwah is doing something in each one of us in order to refine us, in order to guide us in putting our house in order to be fully prepared for that time in history that is coming soon. So he's doing it with me. I think he's doing it with us. I'm going to include you here.
Yeah.
And if you are experiencing and you are feeling something in your heart with these words that I'm sharing with you, because maybe Abba is inviting you to put your house in order too. So this is the time to do it. Okay? Let's continue.
Okay. And Hizkiyahu turned his face toward the wall and prayed to Yahuwah and said, I pray, O Yahuwah, please remember how I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart. I have done what is good in your eyes. And Hizkiyahu wept bitterly. I can imagine that. I can imagine, because he was, according to dates that we can find in the books of the kings, he was around 39 years old, more or less, when he received this communication from Abba. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yeshayahu, saying, Go and say to Hizkiyahu, Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of David your father, I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. See, I am adding 15 years to your days. And out of the hands of the sovereign of Ashur I shall deliver you and this city, and protect this city. And this is the sign to you from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah does this word which he has spoken.
Before you continue, it's interesting and it's beautiful what he's saying in the verse 6. Because we were just studying in the portion last week. And this is funny, just a parenthesis. I don't even remember what I said last week.
Okay.
But I remember somehow the portion is that how Yahuwah provide deliverance from the intention of the king of Ashur, Sanherib, to conquer Jerusalem. And he was conquering all the cities of Yehuda, but he was unable to conquer Jerusalem because it was Yahuwah himself protecting the city and protecting Hizkiyahu when he remembered Yahuwah and he approached Yahuwah. So what he's saying here, beside that time that he protected him, Hizkiyahu, from the hands of Ashur, he's reinforcing that he will continue protecting him.
So I'm not going only to give you extended years, but you're going to live in peace.
In peace. Even though that they are an empire, they are the world empire in this time, they're not going to touch you. Because in the same way that I protected you, that time I will continue protecting you, and not only you, this city. And what is causing this type of protection? What is causing this type of deliverance? Connecting to everything that maybe I said last week. Is, in my view, two things. Is Hizkiyahu was a righteous man. And that's why he was so bold to pray to Yahuwah. But Yahuwah, you know everything. How I have walked before you in the verse 3 in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what is good in your eyes. And we need to ask ourselves, continually, are we in a position to speak to Yahuwah in that way? Are we in a position to talk to him and to say, Yahuwah, I have been walking in truth I have been serving you with a perfect heart. And I think this is so well connected to what I said a minute ago about keeping our house in order. If we are keeping our house in order, we are going to be bold enough, and we are going to be in a position to be bold enough to speak to Yahuwah in this way. So the first thing is that Yahuwah was a righteous man. And second one is what you said. He was remembering Yahuwah, and he was approaching Yahuwah in his time of distress. And the combination of the two things somehow is what I think is written here in the verse 5. Verse 5, I have heard your prayers.
And I have seen your tears.
I have seen your tears. So again, it's the dialogue. Is Yahuwah knows everything. Yahuwah sees everything. And even though that he knows our hearts, even though that he knows everything in our lives, even though that he sees everything in our lives, he's waiting for us to approach him and to remember him. But the only way that we are going to be able to do it is with a repentant heart, but also if we have been walking blamelessly before him, is when we are going to receive these answers.
And maybe we think that we have done everything perfect before his eyes, but maybe it's not like that. Maybe we need to ask him, show me what I'm doing maybe wrong, what I need to turn from, to how to correct my path. So, and he's going to help you, and that's the refinement. That's why he's sending some trials. That's why he's telling us, maybe you're not ready yet. I need you to be better, because we know that in the coming phase, only the perfection is going to be around him. Only the good things. Sin is not going to be there anymore. So we cannot have sin in our lives, or that part is going to disappear. And I know that Abba doesn't want us to how do you say, perdernos? To
get lost.
To get lost. He wants us to be with,
astray.
He wants us to be with him. The more closer that we could be in the near future. So I think that is only the opportunity for us to listen to him and ask him, help me if I need to do more things, because we are not, and we know that we are not perfect. Nobody's perfect in this life. But maybe sometimes we think that we are doing okay, and he's expecting even more. So we need to talk with him.
And just so your comment, Karen, your last comment about weeping, and I think weeping is part of the process of cleaning the house. You know, when we do it, weeping is a result of our inner being.
It's like washing.
Yes.
Washing away.
Exactly. So, you know, weeping is coming after, you know, we go from here to here. And when we come to here, is when we are really doing it from the inner being. So, you know, if we are really in a process to clean our houses, without weeping, sometimes we are not doing it at the depth we should do. When weeping is present, because we are really going through the process of cleaning the house. Just something that has been in my mind, something that has been, it's part of the 2 studies I have been writing about. And I think it's so relevant to everything that we have been discussing, because even we see it here happening.
Yeah. And this one? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and this,
you can repeat it just to
and
keep
this
the
is the
context.
sign to you from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah does this word which he has spoken. See, I am bringing the shadow of the sundial, which has gone down with the sun on the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So I think, and it was the other time I was talking with you, sometimes we want to have like a time machine to return the time, but we cannot have it. But even though we cannot have it, Yahuwah was showing he was able to do some kind of time machine.
He's in charge of time. Yeah.
So he's inviting us. Maybe sometimes we're going to need to go back a little bit because if we were going in some other direction, we need to return some little bit to look again the path and continue in the correct one. So I found it really beautiful.
But sorry, but I have to say this because I think I told you what I'm going to say now about the time machine. And we always, I think all of us, we have been going through issues, difficult and bad things in our lives. Maybe we have made mistakes in the past that we would love to have a time machine to go back on time and do things right. That's generally when we talk about time machines, because we want to correct something or a decision we made in the past, that we would do it differently with the knowledge and the maturity and everything that we have today. But even though that we don't know that it's not possible, and this is the part that we were talking, the two of us, some time ago, YaHuWaH somehow is allowing us to travel in time. Not physically, but through our own spirit, with our memories, because everything is stored inside us. And then we can go back on time to those experiences and to provide healing through prayers, to provide forgiveness to ourselves, to provide forgiveness to others. And if those ones are still alive, we should not do it spiritually only. We should go and speak about using our words. But we can go back on time with our spirit, with the eyes of our spirits. And let me say it more practically, because when we say the eyes of our spirit, sometimes we tend to confuse ourselves. YaHuWaH is talking to us through dreams, as we were speaking, I think, last week, through visions, and he's giving us the capacity and the ability to memorize and to remember. And we can see those experiences. We can go back through that way, in that way, and to provide healing and to forgive. I think that's the most important thing. And to
it's like to lose a knot, maybe
remove the knot.
To remove the knot if you have a cord or a line, I don't know, and then you loosen that, and then you can continue in the proper way.
Exactly, and especially to forgive. And when we do that, it's just a matter to continue doing it every time that this situation is coming to us. And once again, this is a way to keep this house in order. It's a way to keep the house clean.
And learn that if something was a mistake, okay, now I can understand that all the problem that brought this to me. So now I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to approach to this situation differently. So now I have a new scenario, I don't know.
And with the offering of Yahushua, somehow it also puts a kind of time machine, because he set everything back to zero in order for us to begin walking in righteousness. There are certain things that I have in a study that maybe require more things, but with the mighty power of YaHuWaH, he's always providing the way out for things that maybe we did wrong in the past. But it's always important that we see with the eyes of YaHuWaH, understanding he's giving us the ability to travel on time.
And to fix.
It sounds crazy, but he's giving us the ability to travel in time. And as you said, to fix things. Because that fixing needs to happen here in the heart. That's why one of the things Yahushua said that he was coming to do is to heal the heart.
Yeah. It's not watching something on the only one face of of a cup, only on the surface. You need to go and remove maybe anything that is contaminating something. So he's giving us that opportunity. Okay, look around. Maybe you can do something. Yeah.
And what's the beautiful thing? Like always, Abba is doing it. At that level, he's allowing us to time travel spiritually, but in the great scale of things, he's also going back on time. And this is something I mentioned last week or the previous one. It's like the day is like the year
cycles.
in the circles, and now we are coming back in the bigger circle of time. We are coming back to the very beginning, and that's why he is going somehow in reverse, going back on time in reverse, like he's going forward. Is to try to deshacer. ¿Cómo dice deshacer?
Undone?
Yes, it's to undone everything that human beings and man has been doing through the time, and that's why he's going to give us a new body. That's why he's going to recreate the earth and the heavens, because he's somehow time traveling in order to create everything, and so everything will start from the very beginning. It was supposed to happen.
Yeah, he
So,
wants us back.
in micro level and also in the macro level.
Yeah, he's expecting that we can be back as part of Adam and Hawa, Adam and Eve, because I know that he was so sad when he has to command them to leave, and he's given us the opportunity. Now that you're contaminated, you need to remove all the dirty stuff, because I want you back with me. I want you to be in the same position that you were at the beginning. And we know that we are part of them. Everybody is coming from them. I want that breath of life be back with me. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's continue.
And okay, and the sun returned and the grease on the dial by which it had gone down. This is the writing of Hizkiyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, when he had been sick and had recovered from his sickness. So this is what he...
It's a kind of prayer.
Yeah.
It's a kind of...
I think that he was writing this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, and this is the writing. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a writing. He
Yeah.
wrote this. It's a kind of Thanksgiving prayer.
Yeah. I said, am I to go into the gates of Sheol in the prime of my life? Shall I be deprived of the rest of my years? I said, I shall not see Yah. Yah in the land of the living. I shall no longer look on man with the inhabitants of the world. My dwelling is plucked up, taken from me like a shepherd's tent. I have cut off my life like a weaver. He cuts me off from the loom. From day to night, you make an end of me.
This is a good reference to the study.
Yeah.
My dwelling.
Yeah, my dwelling. And he can remove the dwelling like that.
Like a tent.
Yeah. I soothe myself until morning, like a lion, so he shatters all my bones. From day to night you make an end of me. Like a swallow of a thrush, so I chattered. I moan like a dove, my eyes look weakly on high. O Yahuwah, I am oppressed. Undertake for me. What do I say? For he has spoken to me, and he himself has acted. Softly I go, all my years, because of the bitterness of my being. O Yahuwah, by this do men live, and my spirit finds life in all of them. Restore me and make me live. See, for peace I had what was bitter, but you have lovingly delivered my being from the pit of corruption, for you have cast all my sins behind your back. Wow.
And you see what he's prophesying.
Yeah.
Who was the one taking all the sins in his own back?
Yahushua.
Was Yahushua. And it's so beautifully written here is that it's an attribute. Hizkiyahu is writing this about as a Thanksgiving letter, understanding that this is an attribute of Yahuwah, the one that is able to take all his sins and put it in his own back. And without knowing, he was prophesying that is exactly what Yahushua was going to do.
Yahushua being the salvation of Yahuwah.
Exactly.
So,
and somehow confirming in a way that the same attributes that Yahuwah has are the same attributes that Yahushua has. Meaning that both of them are one and the same, Arechat.
For Sheol does not thank you, nor death praise you. Those who go down to the pit do not watch for your truth.
And this is some of the topics of the long waiting and pending talk shows
Yeah,
about death.
yeah.
And I think here is talking directly about what happened after death,
Yeah.
right? But let's not go to the point today.
The living, he is praising you. As I do this day, a father makes known your truth to his children. And this is so beautiful because it's like he's going to give this testimony to their children, what YaHuWaH is doing with his life. So that is what we have to do. Come, YaHuWaH, to save me, and let us sing my songs with the string instrument all the days of our life in the house of YaHuWaH. For Yeshayahu has said, let them take a cake of figs and apply it on the boil so that he lives. And Hizkiyahu asked, what is the sign that I go up to the house of YaHuWaH?
So it's interesting because in the whole story here that it didn't mention that what was the sickness.
No.
And here he's saying that they
Boils.
had
He has
boils.
some
and that was causing somehow
some wounds. Yeah.
Yes. And it is beautiful to see that even that YaHuWaH was using his servant, the prophet, in order to provide
The instruction.
and natural healing. And this is something that sometimes we don't realize. And I think it helped me a bit to understand the process. Few books that I was reading this year
Yeah, about healing.
And also about the body, about the emotions, about the inner being, to realize that something that is written, but we don't see it clearly, or we just don't want to see it, is that YaHuWaH, every time that he is providing healing, every time that he's performing a miracle, he's using his creation to do it. For example, when the Israel was they were leaving Egypt and they faced this Red Sea. They have no way out. And what YaHuWaH did through his servant Moshe, he sent a strong wind. He was using the wind in order to separate the waters and to provide a way out. So he was using the wind and the sea in order to provide a way out. And we can mention multiple other things. When we talk about healing, he has created us in such a way that our own body can heal itself. But for sure, he's providing a boost somehow to the own body, the same body that he created, in order to bring that healing, maybe in a miraculous way. And this is the case of Hizkiyahu. YaHuWaH was doing the healing through Yeshayahu, but using natural things. In this case, was a cake of figs. I don't know what's the component of the figs. I don't know what was the boil that he was suffering, but somehow the fig
for that kind of wound, it was perfect.
It was perfect, and somehow YaHuWaH, with that compound, let's call it like that, was providing this boost to the same body in order to heal.
Yeah, and if you go back to the creation moment, we were taken from the earth. So, and from the earth it was taken also, were coming all the plants, the trees and things like that. So we are kind of had our brothers and sisters with the earth and everything. So we are part of the same creation. So when there is some kind of deficiency, he is going to give us the solution through the same creation. You know, how you said. Yep. Maybe we don't know what is in the fig, but it's just the exact amount that we need to balance again. And it's going to give us all the health again, healthy
Absolutely.
body. So that's so beautiful.
It's beautiful, he created a perfect body. The design, okay, it's not perfect, but it was perfect at the very beginning.
And-
now it's not perfect because of corruption and sin and because of
And
what
that's
happened
why
in
we
history.
have to take care about the creation.
Yes.
About what he put in this world.
That's why-
About- Yeah.
Finish. About?
And also learn about the processes that I don't know the plants that what they
Yeah.
have when we have a seed. That's why he was using all these examples about the agricultural terms, so we can understand how everything is working.
Yes, and actually I always remember something that is written in the book of Jubilees, Joelim, when the sons of Noah, they began to be attacked by the spirit of the Nephilim, the evil spirits. And they started to kill themselves, to drink blood and things like that. And they came to Noah, and Noah prayed to YaHuWaH, and YaHuWaH instructed the Malachim, the messengers, to bound some of the evil spirits. But also what the Malachim, the messengers, did, they provided clear instructions to Noah, this is the way that it's written, about how to fight back the evil spirits with the herbs of the field, with natural medicines, with the creation itself. And that's so, for me, that's so incredible, because first is reinforcing the same thing that we are talking, that through the same creation, YaHuWaH is helping this body, providing a boost with his power and the natural things in order to provide healing. And second, that passage somehow is connecting that some diseases are connected to the work of evil spirits. And third, that somehow the way to fight back with evil spirits and diseases, and a way to fight back, spiritually speaking, is also through the works of natural things. And I think, it's a way to see to have an integral view of the creation of YaHuWaH. Sometimes we tend to spiritualize things so much without understanding what the spiritual mean. And spiritual is part of our bodies. Spiritual is everywhere. It's even in the plants. So we need to understand how YaHuWaH created all this beautiful design, and to ask him to reveal to us how to use it in our own benefit in order to fight back in this spiritual battle too. So, come YaHuWaH to save me. That should be our constant prayer. Come YaHuWaH to save me. And not only to save me, as part of asking for salvation, is to give praises to him. This is exactly the combination that he's doing. Come, please save me. And I will praise you with all my being, with string instruments, all the days of our life in the house of YaHuWaH. This is the house of YaHuWaH today. We're expecting for a physical, greater temple to be built by the Mashiach himself. But in the meantime, this is the house. And we need to praise him with all our strength. Okay? Let's move on.
And this one.
39.
At that time, Merodach Baladan, son of Baladan, sovereign of Babel, sent letters and a present to Hiskiyahu, for he heard that he had been sick and had become strong, so he was recovering. And Hiskiyahu was pleased with them and showed them the house of his treasures.
By the way, they didn't have any social network, they didn't have any
But
eggs,
he
or
knew-
they knew,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
messengers were going to and fro, and they were receiving the news.
Yeah.
And Babylon was not close by.
Yeah. And Hiskiyahu was pleased with them and showed them the house of his treasures, the silver and gold, the spices and precious ointment, and all his armory, and all that was found among his treasure. So there was not an object in his house or all his rule that Hiskiyahu did not show them.
But you see the relevance of what we have been talking about and everything we mentioned
He
before?
was exposing, and he was like,
He was opening the door of his house.
yeah, he was like, and
He was
to-
allowing a stranger
Yeah.
to go even to the inner rooms, and he was showing everything That should speak a lot, it should speak tons to all of us about the significance and the meaning, the deeper meaning of this story.
Because that is only for YaHuWaH. He's only the one who can know everything. Nobody else. Only him. And if we are had with him.
And if you're not following what I'm trying to say, I'm going to be even more clear. Imagine that the house that Hizkiyahu was allowing this stranger from Babylon to see, even in the inner rooms with the treasures and so on, is your house, this house. And you are allowing anybody, any stranger, to get in your house. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you are reading this, analyze this story from that point of view. Are you allowing a stranger to come inside your house and to see everything, all the treasures that YaHuWaH has provided you through your generations, that you have been stored deep inside you? This should be a set apart place.
Like a treasure.
And you should keep those treasures
In a safe place.
in safety. You can continue. You got the point. So understand all these words and what Yeshayahu is saying from that point of view.
And Yeshayahu the prophet went to sovereign Hizkiyahu and said to him, What did this man say? And from where did they come to you? And Hizkiyahu said, They came to me from a distant land, from Babel. And he said, What have they seen in your house? And Hizkiyahu said, They have seen all that is in my house. There is not an object among my treasure that I did not show them.
Let me just put the stop, because I just saw a comment here from Revelation 27-9. Short season, that's the name. Welcome. That is so relevant. The comment is the following. He was proud of his accomplishments. Look what I have. See how important I am.
Yeah, and that's even worse because he's showing.
It's pride.
Yeah,
it's true. It's pride. He was showing himself. He was showing off.
But also, if you take it from another kind of perspective, if you think that the other person is good, but you don't know that maybe in this case, Babel, it was enemy. If you're showing your house to somebody that you don't know, what are their intentions, and you are showing everything, all the doors, all the treasure, where they're located, and imagine if that person wants to rob you. What is going to do? He knows where the precious things are. What are the doors? How can I get there?
Let me put an analogy that I think is so powerful in the way that I see it, and it's very relevant to this one. Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. After the fall, YaHuWaH, what he did? He sent away from that place Adam and Hawa. And what else he did?
He put some messengers there with
he
swords,
put messengers
with
with
fires.
sword with fires,
Yeah, so
in order to protect the entrance
Yeah.
to that set apart place, because there were treasures.
Yeah.
What was the bigger treasure there? Was the tree of life.
Yeah.
So YaHuWaH is setting the example that he's protecting with messengers with the sword of fires. So no stranger, because in that moment Adam and Hawa became strangers to him because of what they did. And that's also is giving us an additional meaning of what a stranger is. And what a stranger is somebody that is not walking in the same way that you walk, is somebody that is not believing in the same way that you believe. Is somebody that is not having the same values as you have. So you are protecting your treasures with set apart messengers with swords of fire, so those strangers cannot get in. It's exactly the same thing here. And that's why what Yeshayahu is saying to Hizkiyahu is so relevant.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Okay, here.
Maybe here.
So Yeshayahu said to Hizkiyahu, Hear the word of YaHuWaH of hosts. See, the days are coming when all that is in your house and all what your father have stored up until this day shall be taken away to Babel. Not a matter shall be left, declares YaHuWaH. And here we can understand that everything was going to be taken away.
Yeah.
So it's going to be robbed.
And you know, it was going to happen anyways because of what we know the story, what happened. We have been studying this as part of the book of Kings. And, you know, it's exactly the same message that later on Jeremiah is providing. It wasn't Assyria. It wasn't the empire of Assyria, Ashur. The one that was going to conquer Jerusalem was Babylon. And I think this is huge. Because Babylon didn't got into Jerusalem as an enemy. They were not an enemy of YaHuWaH at this point. They were visiting and they were concerned because they heard it's written here that he had been sick. And that's why he was receiving letters and presents from them. So they were somehow
like trying to
they
be
were
friendly.
in goodwill.
Yeah, they were trying to be friendly and
But
created some bonds. But we don't know what was the
can you
reason
see,
behind.
can you see it? Even they were not close, but they were in goodwill. They were friendly, but they were not close. But they were not enemies at the same time.
They were not.
But they were not close enough in order to open the doors of their house. But he did it. And even YaHuWaH was using them as an instrument. Those that were in goodwill, those that were concerned about your health, those that were visiting you in order to see that you were recovering, those that were writing to you and giving presents, gifts to you, but they were strangers anyway. YaHuWaH was using even them in order to provide judgment to the house of David and also to Jerusalem. Again, think about this in this house.
It was kind of
That's
their
why we need to be.
refinement.
Yes, I think we need to be so careful again. The people that is around us, the people that we are allowing to go inside the house, and going inside the house, for those of you that we were blessed to visit last year, and we were talking about the house somehow, about the Ruach, and about the way that we are going into the inner man. You are going to understand better, but there are ways to go inside. So who we're going to allow to get inside in our inner being. We need to be careful because maybe those persons, we are not setting the messengers with the sword of fires to protect the entrance of our inner being. Maybe those people that we are allowing to get in are the same people that later on are going to be used in order to provide judgment and even destruction. Okay.
So Yeshayahu said to Hiskiyahu, hear the word of YaHuWaH of hosts, YaHuWaH of Sebaot. See, the days are coming when all that is in your house and what your father have stored up till this day, I'm reading again,
I don't know.
shall be taken away to Babel. Not a matter shall be left, declares YaHuWaH. Maybe I read it again.
Maybe, but doesn't matter.
And they shall take some of your sons who are born to you, whom you bring forth, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the sovereign of Babel. So they are not going to. So the descendants is going to be stopped there.
Yep.
Yeah. And Hiskiyahu said to Yeshayahu, the word of YaHuWaH, what you have spoken is good. Yeah, according to his eyes, his understanding. And he said, because there is peace and truth in my days.
So I think it's somehow
He was watching from a different perspective. He was not watching from the perspective of YaHuWaH.
he was concerned about his life only.
Yeah.
You know, he just got 15 years of life in addition. Yoo-hoo! In these 15 days, this is not going to happen. I'm going to live in peace.
And at least we are in peace with this team, with these neighbors.
And everything that you are talking, okay, it's not going to happen in my time. I'm going to be happy and living in peace and enjoying all these treasures. So he was thinking about himself only. Even though that he was considered a righteous person. But you know, it's the same thing, thank you. It's the same thing that happened with the young man that came to Yahushua. And he said, Master, what I need to do to be perfect? And he was saying, you need to keep the commandments. I have done this for my entire life. And Yahushua looked at him and he understood, yes, he's right. He was a righteous person. And Yahushua was saying, oh, if you want to be perfect, sell everything you have. And he couldn't do it because he was so rich and he was so connected to his treasures that he was unable to do that. And actually, Yahushua even went beyond that. Sell everything and follow me.
Yeah. So leave everything and follow me.
Yes. So we can be considered righteous because we are keeping the commandments, but we are not perfect. There is always something inside of us that needs to be refined. And we need, and it's so beautiful that the Ruach put this in my heart now because it's a parallel. Yahushua was providing a way for refinement to these young men. Hizkiyahu was in need of a refinement too. What's the point that Yahuwah, through the hand of Yahushua, will provide refinement? So, and what's the purpose of refinement? Because maybe we are keeping a righteous way, maybe we're walking as much as we can as Yahushua, keeping the commandments, loving Yahuwah, being faithful to the covenant.
Maybe this is where we are going to be, but maybe Yahuwah wants us closer to Him.
And what it means to be closer is to be like Him, is to be as like His own image and likeness.
And for that,
and the only one that, as the song was saying, the only one that is like Him is Yahushua, our example. But in order to be like Him, we need to be perfect. We need to be refined. And be refined and to be perfect is beyond keeping the commandments. There's something more. It's about and it's connected to our inner being.
Yeah, it's not the average only. It's we need to go further. Yeah.
Okay. And one last thing before I forget. The judgment of Yahuwah, because of what? Because of the mistake of Hizkiyahu on not keeping his house safe and open it up to strangers, was causing, it's not a curse but a judgment to his descendants, because they shall take, as you were reading, they shall take some of your sons who are born to you, and they were going to suffer. They were going to cut the descendants. So again, in the analogy that I'm talking about, maybe we are opening the door, and it's not only to strangers, to people. We can opening the door for evil spirits to get in, and that could cause some consequences to the next generations.
I'm thinking about all that is happening. Sorry, but I'm now taking this to the worldly realm. Like when all this social media and stuff appeared years ago, and people were exposing their lives in front of everybody.
That's opening the door of the house.
That's opening the doors of the house. And what we are seeing right now, that a lot of people, a lot of the songs are kind of
what you were telling me yesterday. Yes.
Because something happened. You if you open your eyes, there is like they want not to have more children anymore.
Yes.
So the
natality rates are going down, and not only that, is all this gendered transitions and these abominations that's happening in these days.
But now it's like water. I don't know how to put it, but it's something so common that it cannot. It was not like that in the years previous year. Maybe it was like, I don't know, one among among 100, and now is like, I don't know, like 90 in 100. So that's too much.
If we open the door of our house, anything can enter.
Yeah.
We are allowing evil spirits that the only thing they want to do is to destroy, to get in, and to do whatever they want.
And usually what that is causing coveting and things, because
and pride.
Yeah.
These are exactly the two things we see here.
Yeah.
pride from the side of Hiskiyahu, lust
from
the side of the Babylonian.
Yeah.
Because everything they do.
Yeah.
They saw what should be in a safe, in a secret place.
Yeah. And I think that's why YaHuWaH is so compassionate, that somehow he look away and put in your hearts, in our hearts, to see that these kind of tools were not good. It was not pleasant for him. So
we need to be careful.
Yeah, careful about what the world is offering.
Let's move on. Chapter 40. And it says the following. By the way, I didn't ask for the sound, but I haven't seen any comments, so I guess everything is good.
Yeah.
Okay? And if it's not good and you're not listening, so be it.
No.
The sound is perfect. Okay, thank you, Camila.
Thank you.
That would be funny, no?
Yeah, 1 hour speaking and nobody was hearing.
Exactly. Okay, so my turn. So everybody's saying the sound is good now. Okay, perfect. You know, now that we did the parentheses, help us with your like, please.
Yeah.
I see almost 40 of you connected and only 15 likes. Please say, in this show parentheses, go and help us with this one. It's not for us,
Yeah, it's so maybe it's going
because
to be...
these tools are working in this way, and with more likes
and
more comments. I think this is the way that this
it's
message
going
is
to
going to more
arrive
people.
to a feed of somebody else.
Yes, and this is the intention of doing all of this, is just to reach out to the people that is in need, and maybe this message is going to help. It's not for us. Is serving him with his desire. Okay, so maybe some contribution you can do is just click this button, and it's increasing from 15 to 22. Thank you so much. We are just missing 18. Okay, so for the 18 of you that have not push the button, please do it. Okay, so chapter 40, and always has a plan, Camila. Believe me, always has a plan. We just need to renounce to our own thinking, to renounce to our own understanding, and to allow him to do what he do the best, is to guide, is to instruct, is to provide life. If we follow him in everything that he has in his plan, we can even reach perfection. And we know that moment is going to be the moment of the transformation of our bodies. But in order to reach that point, he has to do a lot of things with us in the way, and we need to be we need to have a teachable heart. We need to be teachable. So because if we are not teachable, he's not going to do it. He's not going to force us to change.
He doesn't want us to suffer, because when you have something that is hard and you have something that you need to remove there, if you are creating opposition to that, it's even dangerous, because you can, you can break everything.
Yes.
So he's going to think, okay, so you don't want to lose this, or you don't want to let it go. Okay, so I'm going to let you go at the end.
And sometimes we need to be, not sometimes, always we need to be so patient, because he's not gonna do it like this. He's going to do it at his time, and his times are not our times. Just think about Abraham. He needed to wait until he was 99 years old to receive the promise of a child. 99 years. And even that he received the promise decades before. He needed to wait for 99 years, or at least from decades in the way that you want to see it, since he received the promise, until he was able to see the promise and the miracle fulfilled, materialized.
And in the middle, they were doing in their way.
Yes, he was going through difficulties, trials, making mistakes, going through his own understanding and so on. Him and Sarah or Sarai. But the point is that he needed to wait patiently until the perfect time of YaHuWaH. We need to learn from that lesson. It's not, he's not going to make us perfect. He's not going to fulfill his plan for our lives tomorrow or today or next week or next month. He's going to do it at his perfect time. And maybe his perfect time is today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year, maybe in 20 years. We don't know. We just need to wait in him patiently.
This is the learning phase.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on. It says, chapter 40, verse 1. Esto es comfort. Comfort, comfort, my people. I think so. Says your Elohim. Speak to the heart of Jerusalem and cry out to her that her heart service is completed, that her crookedness is pardoned, that she has received from the hand of YaHuWaH double for all her sins. So, first of all, everything that is written here somehow is connected to Jerusalem. That somehow Jerusalem is connected to being our mother, as Shaul was speaking about. And somehow it's connected to be the wife of YaHuWaH. I have been talking about this, and maybe in the coming books we are going to be able to see it more clearly, okay? The coming books, I mean the coming portions. So cry out to her. And it's so interesting here that the heart service is completed, the crookedness is pardoned, and she has received double for all her sins. What do you think about that?
That all the punishment has already poured over Jerusalem. So she's now considering that, okay, she was suffering enough, so now you are going to be in a different position.
Yes. So she was in position to receive this punishment from
she
YaHuWaH because she was committing sin.
Yeah.
She was crooked to the eyes of YaHuWaH, and that's why the heart service. But you know what is interesting is saying double. She has received from the hand of YaHuWaH double. Could it be that this is connected to the destruction of the two temples? Maybe. Because everything that we are going to read later on somehow is connected to the coming of Yahushua.
Or maybe it's when you do something 2 times. I don't know. For instance, when you do something, when you...
You're right.
Yeah.
But because she did it twice, she received twice as well. She has received from the hand of YaHuWaH double for all her sins.
I can only imagine when there is a bad boy or something. Okay, they receive a punishment like, okay, this one I'm going to like punishing you, but I'm going to give you another punishment again so you can remember and you are not going to do it again. So something like that. So that's why it's double. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think YaHuWaH does that.
Okay.
Does that.
Okay.
If he punishes because you did something.
Yeah, okay.
It's not going to punish twice because you did just one.
Okay.
He's going to punish because he's righteous. That's the way that I see it. But anyways, it says, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of YaHuWaH, make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Let every valley be raised, and every mountain and hill made low, and the steep ground shall become level, and the rough places smooth.
So everything is going to change. Everything is going to be...
And we can understand this literally, but also metaphorically. I do believe that it's going to be a change in the geography because of all the earthquakes that we have been reading in the same book, but also it could be related to more a metaphor. Maybe both things. Because prepare the way of YaHuWaH, make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. So everything that is crooked needs to return and be straight once again. It needs to be a straight way. You remember that we were speaking about the way of righteousness and the way of set apartness. Set apartness, kodeshah. It's much easier to say it in Hebrew than in English, or holiness. But I don't like that word. Anyways, so the way needs to be made straight before the coming.
Yeah.
And that's powerful, because in these times, who are the ones that can make the way straight? And we can debate that maybe it's going to be the two witnesses that are written in the book of Revelation, but that for me is too easy. Is to put responsibility in somebody else, even though that everything is in the hand of Yahuwah and He is the one that is going to do it. But
we need to do it.
It's like thinking, no, it's the two witnesses, the one that are going to make the path straight and preparing the way of Yahuwah. It's like sitting us in the sofa and waiting and seeing and just observing and doing nothing. I think we are responsible to prepare the way for the return of Mashiach. We have the responsibility to do all of that. So what I was saying about the verse 4 is that let every valley be raised and every mountain and hill made low. So
To
it's
put
basically
things in the
right level.
So everything is going to be smooth. So now you're not going to have a problem in the way. So you're not going to have a, how do you say that?
It's connected to everything that we were saying. It's to put things in order.
Yeah.
It's to change things in order for everything to be right and straight for the return. We are not going to change this world. We are not going to be able to make everything straight. But basically, we need to be in that position.
We need to remove the stones that are going to be maybe a trample for somebody, or we need to put some earth over a hole that it could be a pit, I don't know, and could cause some harm to somebody else.
Because when we do that, it's exactly what's going to happen written in the verse 5. And the sin of Yahuwah shall be revealed, and all flesh together shall see it. For the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. So this needs to happen in order for the kavod of Yahuwah to be revealed and everybody to be able to see it. One way for people to see the kavod of Yahuwah and not thinking on the sign of the Son of Man that Yahushua was speaking about, that He's going to appear on the cloud and everybody will see. Another way for people to see the kavod, the esteem of Yahuwah, is through signs and miracles, through His mighty power connected to the truth. And it is written here now, but in the other the screen is saying we need to serve Him in spirit and in truth, in ruach, but also in the word, in the Torah, both things together. If we serve Him only here, but not only in truth, but not in spirit, we are missing something important. If we are serving Him in spirit, but not in truth, we are missing something important, and maybe we are going astray from the way as the ones that are the workers of lawlessness, written in the chapter 7 of the book of Matthew. We need to serve Him in both things. And if we're serving in both things in the same way, following the example of Yahushua, people will see the esteem of Yahuwah through the manifestation of the Ruach HaKodesh in truth. So, beside the sign of the Son of Adam in the Shemaim, when the skies are going to depart like a scroll, and every eye will see Yahushua returning in the clouds, maybe there is something when we are talking about preparing the way of Yahuwah and to make straight the highway, it's about our ability to allow Yahuwah to use us in spirit and in truth in order to bring His kavod to the eyes of the people. It's something we need to think and pray about it. Okay? So it says in the verse 6, the voice said, "Cry out." And He said, "What do I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its loving commitment is like the flower of the field. Grass shall wither, the flower shall fade. When the Ruach of Yahuwah has blown on it, truly the people is grass. Grass shall wither, the flower shall fade, but the word of our Elohim stands forever." And I like this analogy Because it's exactly what we say, and that's why, you know, we have the reference to what the Kepha, Peter, was talking about. You know, we are like grass. We are going to disappear in one moment. We were talking about that with the case of Hiskiyahu. You know, that's why it's so important that when we are alive, only when we are alive, we are able to praise Yahuwah. Only when we are alive, we are able to cry out. Only when we are alive, we are able to make the highway straight once again. Only when we are alive, we are able to prepare the way for the return of Yahuwah through Yahushua. Okay? Understanding this, that even though that we are not going to be alive, His word is going to stand forever. So another generation will continue the work. And that's why it's so important that we also encourage the new generations to continue the work of the word of Yahuwah. You who bring good news to Zion, get up into the high mountain. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up. Be not afraid. Say to the cities of Yehuda, see your Elohim. See, the Master Yahuwah comes with strength, and His arm rules for Him. See, His reward is with Him, and His recompense before Him. He feeds His flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs with His arm, and carries them in His bosom, gently leading those who are with young. That's beautiful, right?
Yeah, that picture is so beautiful.
And it's a description of what Yahushua did with the disciples, bringing the good news, the glad tidings, you know, the good news of the kingdom in the mountains, in Jerusalem, everywhere. And this is something that, you know, should speak tones to us as well. Lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up. Be not afraid. So, to say to the cities of Yehuda, see your Elohim. You know, today there's such a persecution every time that you're talking about Elohim, every time that you are talking about Jesus, you know, for the Christian. People are rejecting, but also we see people that are accepting, that are opening to listen. So the only way that people are going to be able to listen, if we're speaking about Yahushua, we're speaking about the good news of the kingdom without being afraid. I think this is the time that this passage is becoming more relevant than ever, that we need to speak without being afraid. You know, we need to fear the one that is killing the body and the nefesh in the Gehenna. And that one is Elohim. Instead of having fear for those ones that only are able to kill the body. Because if we are being killed by bringing the good news without being afraid, we know that we have a recompense. You know, it's exactly as it is written here in the verse 10. The recompense of Yahuwah. You know, the one that is coming with the strength, with His arm. And who is the right arm? Yahushua. His arm rules for Him. Yahushua is ruling for Yahuwah, for Elohim. And His reward is with Yahushua. His recompense is before Him. Okay? So let's continue. Verse 12. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of His hand, and measured the heavens with a span, and contained the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance. And this is so beautiful put together. It's like an engineer or an architect or a designer.
Or when you're cooking something and you
Or
have
a
a
cooker.
perfect recipe.
Yes, just measuring everything in related to His creation. So he's so detailed that somehow he's providing this passage for us to understand in the way that He thinks.
Didn't you see that Yahuwah has all the professions in there?
Yes.
Contained.
But you know, no, you're right. You're right. Yes.
He's a doctor. He's an architect. He's a perfect cooker. I don't know. He's the perfect psychiatrist.
I'm just gonna mention something.
Okay.
He's the one providing the abilities.
Yeah.
That's why you have abilities and I have maybe other abilities. Maybe we have similars, but also always we have some certain skills that differentiate us. Everything is coming from him. So it's as you said, you know, he has the skills for everything. And he is giving those gifts differently to everyone.
Imagine when we are going to have this possibility of hear his voice, how he talk. And I don't know. If we have heard some people singing and they have this beautiful voice, can you imagine the perfect voice that he has? Wow, I don't know.
That's powerful, you know?
Yeah.
Just give me a second before we continue. Just be patient with me.
Where are you going to look for?
Okay, good. So it says in the verse, I wasn't sure about the meaning.
Okay.
Verse 13, who has meted out the Spirit of YaHuWaH, or as his counselor taught him? And this is powerful as well because it's talking about the Ruach of YaHuWaH and the role and how he's providing the Ruach, okay, and as serving as a counselor. With whom did he take counsel? And who? And this is so powerful because it's exactly the same question that sometimes the atheists are asking. Okay, so if it is a God, who created God?
Yeah.
And this exactly, you know, it's a rhetoric question that he's providing through Yeshayahu is exactly the same. And who instructed him and taught him in the path of right ruling? Who taught him knowledge and showed him the way of understanding? Wow. We don't know.
But we don't need to know.
We don't need to know. But you know, I'm so curious, I would like to know. And I think he will tell us. Not now, but in his timing, he will tell us. And maybe it's going to be Yahushua when we are going to be in his presence, the one teaching us and answering all those questions. The nations are as a drop in a bucket and are reckoned as dust on the balance. See, he lifts up isles as fine dust. You know, he's seeing it from that point of view.
Yeah.
That's the way he's looking at it. And that's why he has a complete view of everything that's happening on the earth, in the Eretz, because he's sitting above the Shamayim. And Lebanon, 16, is not enough to burn, nor its beasts enough for an ascending offering. All nations before him are as a non-entity, and they are reckoned by him as less than a speck and emptiness. Wow. And to whom would you liken El? And what likeness would you compare to him? The workman molds a graven image, and the goldsmith overspreads it with gold, and the silversmith casts silver chains. He who is too poor for such an offering chooses a tree that does not rot. He seeks for himself a skilled craftsman to prepare a carved image that does not totter. So we don't know how he is.
But he asked us not to make any image and not.
But that's the point. That's why he's mentioning here. We don't know, but the intention of the heart of the people sometimes is to try to put a figure, a form, in Elohim. I remember that it's written in the Brit Hadashah that the Yahushua said that the Elohim is a spirit. Sometimes a spirit, you cannot see it. So how we are going to put an image, a form, a figure in Elohim if we have not seen him? Why we have the tendency to put something in a physical way? Somehow it's easy to understand because we live in this physical world. It's difficult for us to connect with things that we don't see.
Or to use.
We need to touch, we need to see, we need to understand. But we need to see something. And I don't know if I mentioned this here in in the past. But I was sharing this with a friend last week. And I usually like to ask these questions because sometimes it makes us think and makes people think. Okay? And what I asked him was the following. Show me your thoughts. And he was looking at me, said, what? Show me your thoughts. And he began to laugh. And I was continuing repeating myself, show me your thoughts. And how I'm going to do that, he said. You see, you cannot show me your thoughts, but that doesn't mean that your thoughts doesn't exist. The only one who knows that your thoughts exist is you. The same with the emotions. You cannot show your emotions. Maybe you can manifest your emotions, but you cannot show them. That doesn't mean that doesn't exist. Those are part of the spiritual realm. But those things that we cannot show, those things that are invisible because are part of the spiritual realm, are the most powerful ones. And even though that we are not able to see it and to put a form, a figure, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. The same, I didn't we were speaking about the Bible and that time, and about God in His words. And this is exactly what's happening here. Even though that we are not able to see Elohim, that doesn't mean that He doesn't exist. In the same way that our thoughts, we know that they are there, like our dreams, that we know that they exist within us. So let's continue verse 21. Did you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is He who sits above the circle of the earth, and His inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. And I remember our brother Rob was planning these things just to understand the cosmology of the earth. Who brings princes to naught, shall make the rulers of the earth as emptiness. Hardly have they been planted, hardly have they been sown, hardly has their stock taken root in the earth, when He shall blow on them, and they wither, and a whirlwind take them away like stubble. So, what do you think on this passage?
That we don't have enough strength to remain. It's Him who has the power, and if He wants, He can destroy us like that, like a whirlwind, like a tornado. And we are here just because of His mercy.
And He's connecting this to the end times. Think on the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, with this big statue, that at the end was this rock cut with the man of no hand, no man, with the hand of no man, coming from the Shemaim and destroying the entire statue. And this rock was becoming a mountain, the high mountain, and that kingdom was going to be everlasting. The same thing here, because He's talking about who brings princes to naught, shall make the rulers of the earth as emptiness. Hardly have they been planted, in reference to those kings and princes. Hardly have they been sown. But at the end He's going to blow on them. And previously we were talking about the Spirit. When the Spirit blows, the grass wither. And this is exactly what's going to happen at the end times. The Spirit would blow, they will wither, and they are going to be taken away. as part of the preparation of the way, because the king is coming in order to fulfill this thing and in order to establish his kingdom. And to whom then do you liken me? Or to whom am I compared? Say the set apart one. Lift up your eyes on high and see. Who has created this? He's bringing out their host by number. Speaking about the stars. He calls them all by name. By the greatness of ability and potent of power, a man is not lacking. Why do you say, O Yaakov, and speak, O Israel, my ways hidden from Yahuwah, and my rights are overlooked by my Elohim?
But you were saying that the 26 is talking about the stars.
It
But
could be the stars, but maybe it could be something else.
I don't know. I was reading that, and for me it was like the 144,000.
It could be. It could be the host of Israel as well. It could be different.
Because he said that
different levels.
he calls them by name, and he has the ability and potent of power. A man is not lacking, so it's like an army that is with him. Nobody's
Absolutely.
lacking. Okay, sorry.
So we cannot hide ourselves from Yahuwah. And just remember the story of Jonah. He was trying to hide himself, but even Yahuwah was with him in the belly of the fish. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to those who have not mind, he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait on Yahuwah renew their strength. They raise up the wing like eagles. They run and are not weary. They walk and do not faint. And that's a huge promise for this time we are living. Don't you feel tired sometimes?
Yeah.
It's more than
now.
it's more than a physical.
Now I'm sleepy.
But it's more than a physical thing.
Yeah.
It's something mentally within.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a vacuum. I
Yes.
don't know how to explain it. Like your energy is like disappearing sometimes. But it's so funny because sometimes you ask him, please renew my strength, and I don't know, like in 5 minutes you're like new. And that happens, I don't know, not only with the energy, with a lot of things that you have to wait, and he's going to renew everything. It's strange. It remind me about the dream that I was sharing with Camila, and about that I could see some. Can I share it? Yeah.
It's up to you.
It was like, I don't know, 2-3 days ago. I think that it was. I don't know if you remember when I told it to you. It was about I was in a kitchen of some house. I don't know, it was not my house, but it was a house, and I was in the kitchen, and outside it was a piece of a garden, it was grass, green grass. And I remember I was looking outside, but suddenly I was hearing some kind of a very strong noise, and it was like a motor or something. And suddenly I go out, and I remember to be in the middle of that place, and I was seeing, it was at the beginning, it was like birds, but then I was watching more closely, and it was planes, and it was planes, no big ones. It was like in the wars, like only one pilot per plane, so something like that. And they were like, okay, like birds, like the golondrinas. I don't know, how do you call them?
Sparrows.
No, it's not the sparrow, the other one that are waiting for the summer. But they were like doing like that. And suddenly I began to see, and they were falling, but they were falling into the sea.
Swallows.
Swallows, okay, like swallows. I don't know how to pronounce that. And they were falling into the sea, but the sea was not with waves. It was quiet, but I know that it was the sea, and it was next to the grass.
Okay.
And then they start to going down, but every time that they were going down, were closer to the place that I was standing. And they were only men. I could see the faces of them, and they were men, like young men, like 20 years, something like that. It was not more than 20 years. And they were falling. But when they were falling, they were disappearing. And I was just realizing about that when I was writing down about this. Because I didn't see a crash. I didn't hear like an explosion. And they were just like disappearing. And I was like saying this out loud to some people because some people were looking at me, but I couldn't see the people. But I know that some people were with me watching all this. And I was saying, you know what is happening? They're running out of fuel. They don't have more fuel. So it's like this. Like
That's why the planes were falling down.
Yeah, that's why they were falling down.
It's like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like that.
Fainting. Because they have no more strength.
Yeah, they were not having more strength. Maybe it's something like for us. Maybe like when I was thinking about that, it was like that we have to ask Abba every time that we feel that we don't have more power, more energy. We have to ask Him, help me, give me more strength, help me to endure until the end. And if Mashiach was telling us that we have to endure until the end, is because it's going to be a phase that is going to be taking out all of our energy. Like when we're taking the stairs. At the end, the last flight is the most difficult one, the last steps.
Yeah, while listening to you, I was remembering what we were reading about Yahuwah and weeping bitterly. When we are going through those refinement process, sometimes we feel that we have no strength. When we are undergoing some trials, persecutions, tribulation, refinement, in those processes are not easy, and we feel that we have no strength and we are fading.
And we have to be careful because sometimes it's coming the enemy,
Yes.
and the enemy is trying to tell us, okay,
we're trying to open the door for something.
Yeah,
this is forcing the door. So, I think this promise is so powerful. Somehow, I think is connected to the end times, but also as the word always is connected to individual in different levels. We go through those processes that we feel that we are fainting. There are days that we feel strong. There are the days that we feel ourselves so weak. And that's, the promise that the creator of the ends of the earth, Elohim, Yahuwah Sebaot, neither faints nor is weary. So even though that we feel ourselves in that way, He's not. So if we see His face in the same way that Yahuwah was doing in the 2 chapters ago, He's going to provide the strength in order to raise up our wings like eagles, to run, to walk with the strength that He's providing. You remember what happened with Eliyahu when he was running from Jezebel? He was fainting and he was weary because he was full of fear of persecution. He was running away. And what Yahuwah did for him, He sent a messenger. He provided food that allowed him to walk for all those days to get into the Mount of Horeb in the wilderness. So Yahuwah was providing the strength for him in order to reach destination. The same thing with Israel. They were 40 years in the wilderness. Same clothes, same shoes. And He was providing food, He was providing coverage, He was providing
protection against the animals
Yes.
that they could be kind of danger.
He was providing a heating system
Yeah.
in the cold of the night in the wilderness. And He was protecting them in every way from the animals and also for persecution, and He was winning the battles for them if they were obedient. So even though that they didn't have the strength to defeat the giants, He was providing the strength if they were able or willing to believe on him. So it's exactly the same thing with us. If we are feeling ourselves weary of the way, we need to understand we need to endure until the end in order to receive the reward and the recompense that he was speaking about earlier in this chapter. But in order to do so, we will try to do it with our own strength. We are not going to be able to do it.
We're going to fail.
That's why we need to remember him in the same way, just connecting the two passages. In the same way that Hizkiyahu did, we need to remember Yahuwah. We need to go to him. We need to walk in righteousness. We need to follow the ways and the step of Yahushua, and asking him to give us of his strength. And in the same way that Yahushua ben Nun and Caleb were believing in Yahuwah, they were able to defeat the giants. In the same way, if we act in the same way, we are going to be able to receive that strength, that supernatural strength that is not coming from within, is not coming from us. It is produced within us, but it's produced by Yahuwah. He's providing the boost that we were talking about earlier. And we are going to be able to defeat any circumstance. We are going to be able to go through the refinement process till the end in order to become a better us. More like him, more like Yahushua. We are going to have the strength and the power in order to defeat the spiritual enemies. And we are going to have the spiritual strength and the inner strength in order to endure until the end. Do you think that Yahushua was able to endure his suffering by his own strength? No way. He did it because he received the supernatural strength from his Father in order to get until he complete the mission, and he said, mission accomplished. But he didn't do it by his own strength. He knew about this passage. He knew that the creator of the ends of the earth neither faints nor is weary. And he was holding himself fast to that promise, and that's why he was able to get into the final and the completion and the fulfillment of his mission on his first coming. Do you think that he's not going to do the same on his second coming? For sure, because he's the perfect image and likeness of Elohim. And if we want to be like him, like Yahushua, like our Melech, like our King, we need to start transforming ourselves by the renewing of our mind in order to think like him, in order to be like him, in order to walk like him. If we are going to continue thinking and acting with the attitude from the past that we are not able to do things, we are not renewing ourselves because we are still doing things with our own strength. We need to renounce and quit from our old men, that old woman that was used to think in a certain way, and now is the time to think like Yahushua, understanding that if we feel weak, we have one that is never weak. And he is the one, if we go closer to him, he is going to be the one providing the strength we need in order to continue walking, because every time that we walk, for sure we do it for ourselves because we want to receive the reward and to be part of the kingdom, to receive the everlasting life, to be part of this amazing period of the history of humanity that is going to happen as soon as Yahushua is coming back in order to establish the kingdom and restore everything. For sure we are doing it in one way, thinking with an individual mindset. But there is a better path. It's the path of service that Yahushua was putting in front of us. That everything we do, we don't do it for ourselves. Everything we do, first we do it for him, but we do it to serve others. If we want to be better, if we want to be a righteous person, let's not do it for us, let's do it for him, and also in order to be an example and a testimony for others. Because if we do it for others, the recompense and the reward is going to be higher.
It's for everybody, the entire body.
We are not alone. Even though that we are individual, we are not alone. We are contained in Him. Even though that you are a spirit that He put in you, and I'm an individual person, in Him we are Echad. And that's applicable for everyone. Everyone that is around us, believers and unbelievers. He put His neshama, His breath of life, in everyone. Every person has a piece, a portion of Elohim. And that's why, He wants everybody to be saved. But He's not forcing anybody. So everything we do, we need to do it from that point of view, understanding that everybody in this world is having a portion of Elohim. So if we want to be better, if Yahuwah has awakened us to His truth, it's not only because He wants to save us individually, it's because He wants us to be better in order to be a real light to the nation, to set the example, to be a light to the world, to do it for the rest, for those little portions of Elohim, in order for them to find a way as well. So He doesn't faint, He's not weary, and He is going to give us the strength in order to continue and to endure until the end, in order to fly. He said that He gave the wings of an eagle, or they fly like an eagle's wing when they were moving out from Egypt. And He's going to do the same in the second Exodus. That's why I think this is also in an additional interpretation to everything that we have said so far about this passage. This is also applicable to what's going to happen in the second Exodus. He's going to give us the strength in the same way that He gave it to that generations of Israel, in order to come out from the four corners of the earth when we are going to be regathered, in order to have the strength to go to the place that He's going to lead us. But let's not wait for that interpretation only. Today, we can live this promise
every day,
in order to set example for everyone else.
Yeah, every
else.
difficult task that we are going through, we only have the energy and the strength from Him if we are crying out for His help, and He's going to help us. He's going always to give us a way.
Something that Yahuwah has put in my heart, and we have been talking with Lillian about this for several weeks already, is that we need to begin living in our own experience what it means to put Yahuwah first as the priority of our lives. It doesn't matter what it takes and what it means for any other area of our lives. It doesn't matter what it means and what type of impact will cause in our own desires, in our own feelings, in our own thoughts. We need to live in our own experience, in reality, from the heart, what it means to put Yahuwah first as the priority of our lives. I think I mentioned a bit about this last week, is that our relationship with Yahuwah through Yahushua is the most important relationship of our lives. We need to make sure that we are right with Him first, because that's the foundation of the house that we are going to build. Amen?
Amen.
Okay. So,
Good.
it was a good portion.
Yeah.
We'll continue doing it like that, I think. And allowing the Ruach to speak to our hearts, to our heart first,
with Him, and then He's
everything
going
we
to,
can share with you.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else?
No. Just I think that we are giving thanks to Yahuwah for everything that He's doing, and also thanks to you, because you decided time ago to be part of the family of YaHuWaH, to be part of his flock. And we know that everything that we are maybe experiencing, maybe it's the same experiencing that you are having in this path. So continue praying for each other. And sometimes you're going to be praying for someone and you don't know why you're even having some names like this. And it's because YaHuWaH is giving you that. He's I don't know how to say it, like doing a kind of a very big coverage cloth or something very beautiful, where everyone, each of us, are a little part but important. If one of us is missing, a whole is going to be there. And I know that YaHuWaH wants to have this beautiful coverage over each one.
Absolutely. So, yep, I think as I saw in some of the comments was a beautiful portion, a lot to think and meditate and pray about it. You know, all these nuggets that YaHuWaH is revealing in real time, because this is exactly what's happening. It's in real time today, especially we didn't have the time to prepare anything. So he's just putting in our hearts as we speak and read. It's something that we need to always pray about it. I think he's revealing a lot of things. And I have no doubt in my heart, as I said at the beginning, that all of us, we are in a refinement period. YaHuWaH is doing something with his children in this time in order to prepare them for what's coming. So, as I said earlier, we need to have that type of heart, that teachable heart, in order to allow him to do what he wants to do in each one of us individually. So we need to be so attentive, and we need to be so flexible, and we need to be so willing to allow him to do that. We have a heart of stone, and we have pride inside us. If we want to follow our own understanding, he's not going to do it. We will continue as we are. If we resign to our own understanding, if we remove the stones from our hearts and we allow him to give us a heart of flesh, and if we open the door of our hearts to him and not to strangers, he will do what he wants to do with each one of us. So let's allow him to do it, because I think he's preparing his people for a greater service in this time. And if we are not prepared, he will find somebody else, because he's not gonna stop from what he has to do. In the same way that happened with Shaul and David, let's not be a Shaul, let's be a David. Okay? Good. Thank you so much for your patience, for being with us today. It was beautiful thing to be with you. It was beautiful to have Lillian once again in this portion.
It's difficult. I don't know how you do it, trying to write there and keep an ear, because I couldn't do it. I could only write, and then I have to put attention. That is a complete beautiful things that you are doing when you share your thoughts also there in the chat, and I love that.
So that's a set of skills that our amazing moderators have.
And
so
all the brothers and sisters that are contributing to that. Thank you very much, because I could see that there's a lot of love there, and that's the spirit that we have to keep always.
Yes.
And always considering YaHuWaH is only a creator. He's not a destroyer. He wants us to have thoughts of edifying thoughts in our lives.
Interesting you're saying that. I was just reading about this morning. Yes. He is everything, even though that we see things being destroyed.
Yeah. It's because
sometimes he needs to destroy things in order to provide healing and create new things.
Yeah. And to construct, but in the proper way.
Yes. As soon as I release the study, you will understand even better. Okay? You remember what I said about the rocks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. Good. Final thing, please keep our brothers and sisters that
Yeah.
are not here in your prayers. Please keep praying for Judy, our sister that is still in prison. She's going through different tribulations over there. I do believe that she's going through a refinement process too, like anybody else. So please keep her in your prayers. And everybody else, you know, there are many people that are going through difficulties in this time. So I think there is a saying, the family that prays together stay together. So I think we really want to be Yahad as a spiritual family. We need to pray for each one, for one another. So keep everybody in your prayers, even though that maybe you don't know their names and just see their nicknames in the chat, or even though that they're not participating in the chat and you know that there are more people connected to these studies and the small flock here at Light to the Nations. Pray for them. Pray for those that you don't know, but they have the heart for Yahuwah. Pray for those that you know that they have the heart for Yahuwah too. Pray for those that you know that maybe they have not come to the whole understanding of the truth of the way of Yahuwah, but they have a true love for Yahushua and for our Father. They are our brothers as well. And you know, once we were like them, and we need to love them with all our heart and to be a witness to them. So Abba can open their understanding in the same way that he was compassionate enough with us to give us understanding, so he can be compassionate enough to, in his timing, to provide also this understanding. So we need to pray for them. We need to pray for strength. We need to pray for one another. So please keep us also, Lilian and myself, in your prayers. We are praying for all of you. So once again, thank you so much for being with us today. And we will finish with a song, and we hope to see you next week. Right?
Yeah, and Yahuwah be with you all. Yeah,
Yes, and always.
and always.
So Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat
See
Shalom.
you next week. Bye-bye.
אין כמוך אלוהים, גואל ישראל, מושיע העולם, ניתן כבוד לשמך. אין כמוך אלוהים, גואל ישראל, מושיע העולם, ניתן כבוד לשמך, כי גבר עלינו חסדך. כמוך